First up, we are going to talk about the Omega from Bombz. So, the Omega from Bombz is this little fella right here. Let's see if I can get an autofocus. There you go. So this is the Omega. As you can see, it has an Omega engraving on it, and it has some big air holes. So let's do a rundown of the specs real quick. The atomizer is available from Bombz, as I said. I'm going to post the link in chat. Here it comes. And there you go. It's $85 retail. It's made from 303 stainless steel. It has a pretty substantial juice and wick well in the atomizer, which you'll see. It's a 3-post design. It has adjustable airflow for either single or dual air hole, and you can set it up with single, dual, or quad coils if you want to. It's really made for single or dual, but you can, like I said, set it up with any of those options. So the air holes on it are adjustable all the way out to 3 millimeters. So you can have, if you want it open all the way, dual 3 millimeter air holes with this guy. So all right, let's do some close-up. I'm going to turn autofocus off, and we'll show some close-up of the atomizer. So hold on one sec. Take this guy off of the mod here. If it wants to unscrew, which it probably doesn't. There we go. So, the Omega is... Take the drip tip out too. Here we go, up close and personal. So the Omega atomizer, this is what it looks like. You got the engraving, you've got the grooves, you've got a couple air holes there, which you can see I just got some wick stuck in there when I put the cap back on. But and you can see it's got 3 holes so that you can set it up either as single air hole or dual air hole. Top cap, 510 standard drip tip hole. I did not have any issues with any of the drip tips fitting in this snugly. You also have a, you actually have a serial number on the bottom. So this one is number 421. Stainless steel, positive connection. And it is not a screw top, it is a O-ring. Hold on. It's easier to pull off if you have it threaded into your atomizer. So we'll pop that off here. Underneath the top cap, it does have a slightly reduced top cap, as you can see. And inside the device, I've got some nasty looking eco wool in here, but I have this set up with like a stupid amount of eco wool and a dual coil. The reason why I set it up this way, as I wanted to try this out as kind of a travel dripper, and the more wick material you use, the more juice it's going to be able to soak up. So you can't even really see my wicks in there, but I assure you there are wicks down in there where all that black crap is. Now, if you look closely, you can also see, I'll show you, there is 3 positive connection points in there. You can see the center screw, you can see the other screw on that side, and this one that I hid here pretty well over there as well. Very easy to set up, very big Phillips head screws. So I didn't have any issues at all getting this thing running very, very quickly with eco wool. You know, typically I'm a mesh user, as you guys know, even in my drippers, but like I said, I wanted to set this up with Eco Wool just to, you know, try it out as more of a travel dripper. That's one of the things about mesh that does suck with a dripper is, you know, it's not going to soak the juice up and isn't going to be very travel friendly. Now, one thing that I did notice about this device, hold on, I'm going to show it to you here. So if you look at it up close, if you see the finish on it, see all those marks on the finish when I hold it up close? So, well, that's juice right there, but you can see all these little marks on the finish. So it actually came to me like that, which I was a little disappointed about. So, you know, the finish, at least for me, left something to be desired. But again, you know, it was very easy to set up because there is such a large amount of space on the inside of the device, and because you know, you've got a pretty easy flat surface in there, even though it's got the adjustable airflow like you can see on the side there, and that well that you're working in. Because it's such a large space and it's a 22mm device, it's really not that difficult to work with. And also, you're not working with a coil that's down against the bottom of the base. The coil is going to be raised up a little bit as well because the posts obviously come up from the bottom. So it's not like you're trying to work inside the juice well like you might be when, you know, working with a Genesis style device where you're trying to get the bottom coil and, like, you know, working around a juice well like on the Fugatti or on an Arrow or something like that. So again, easy to set up. So I want to talk about how it vapes for a bit here. And let me get the top cap back on in dual coil and get this back on my mod here. So bear with me a second. So the air holes on this thing are huge, and some people really like that. I personally prefer a little bit of a tighter draw to get better flavor, rather than a big open draw to get a ton of vapor. That is personal preference, however, and if you are somebody that is kind of, I guess they refer to it as chasing clouds and trying to get huge clouds of vapor, this is certainly a good device for that. So I have this. I'm gonna show you how this vapes with the air holes almost closed up. So as you can see, I've got just a little slot. Actually, I'm gonna tighten it even more than that. So just a little tiny bit of airflow through there. You can see. So that's almost closed, and you're still gonna get really, really good vapor production from the device. You know, hold on a sec. I'm gonna show you what it's like when you open this thing up, because then it gets really ridiculous. But I need to put a little bit more juice in. So yeah, I mean, the vapor production is still very big, even with the holes tightened up, you know, and a lot, you know, drippers are generally going to produce a little bit more vapor when you set it up with a dual coil like this. Now let's open it up and we'll take a big lung hit on this guy. So this is now with the holes open all the way, and it really is like just breathing normally, except you're getting vapor too. So the vapor production when it's open all the way is pretty immense, as you can see. You know, tightening it up and closing it off almost all the way is actually how I prefer it, because even though you're going to get less vapor production, you do get more flavor. The one issue that I had, so I did have a couple issues with the device. The one is the finish. It had a lot of marks and mars on it. You know, that's something that you can either brush yourself with, you know, with like a Scotch-Brite pad or something like that. you know, so that it's fixable. It's still, you know, I would expect something, you know, a higher end device like this to be pristine out of the box. The other thing too is I actually found it kind of hard to get the draw as tight as I wanted it to be, because the holes are so big that you really have to tighten it down to the point where you just have these like little slivers of airflow. If you do prefer a tighter, more warm, flavorful draw than, you know, a big open airy draw. But you know, again, that's personal preference. So, you know, I guess it's not really a knock on the device. It's just that my personal preference is I prefer a tighter draw. But if you're looking for a atomizer that's going to be able to give you this huge plumes of vapor and still give you good flavor, and, you know, be able to, you know, play around with the draw to kind of find, you know, either if you want to open it all the way and just make giant plumes, or find it somewhere between how do I word it? It's impossible to get a tight draw from it. So somewhere between loose and absurdly loose. If your preference is somewhere in that range, then this is I would say this is a pretty good atomizer for that. The performance on it is great. It hits very well. It holds a good amount of juice, especially if you put a lot of wick material in it like I did. You know, I mean, I think I can put about 20 drops of juice in there. It soaks it all up nice, and there's plenty of room for wick in there as well. Yeah, and the performance on it is solid. So I would say I do like the Omega, even though it is a little more open than I would prefer as far as the draw is concerned. So there you have it. That is my quick and dirty review of the Omega from Vapor Bombz.